You feel it, don't you? That strange pressure in the air, like the sky itself is holding its breath. People keep walking around, pretending everything's normal, but you can see it in their eyes. They know something's coming, something big. They just don't want to admit it. It's easier to scroll, to laugh, to drown in noise, than to face that uneasy little voice in the back of their heads that keeps whispering, "Wake up now." Comfort, such a beautiful little lie, isn't it? Soft pillows, warm rooms, predictable routines, all wrapped up in this neat little package we call normal. You clutch it like a child holding a teddy bear, thinking it keeps you safe, thinking it shields you from the chaos outside. But here's the thing. Comfort isn't your friend. No comfort is a smooth, talking con artist, feeding you just enough warmth so you stop moving, stop questioning, stop noticing. It whispers, "Relax, nothing's wrong, stay here," while the walls around you slowly close in. You don't even feel it, not until there's no room left to breathe. People think danger is loud, sirens, explosions, screaming. Oh no. The real danger is silent. It comes with a lullaby, with a warm blanket, with the sweet hum of everything seeming fine. You don't see the rust creeping on the hinges, the cracks forming in the walls, because you're too busy sinking deeper into the couch of your own illusions. Comfort doesn't have to chase you. You willingly walk into its arms and hand over the keys to your own awareness. The irony. You think comfort is a reward. You work hard, you struggle. And then you tell yourself you've earned a little peace. You've earned the right to stop paying attention. But what's really happening? You're letting your guard down in the middle of the battlefield. The enemy isn't the noise outside, it's the silence inside. And that silence grows louder every day you keep ignoring the signs. There's something about comfort that makes people blind, not just to danger, but to opportunity, to truth, to reality itself. When you're comfortable, your eyes half close, your hearing dulls, and the sharp edges of the world blur into something soft and safe. But the world doesn't soften just because you look away. No, it sharpens, it hardens, it prepares. And while you're dreaming in your cozy little bubble, it's setting the stage for something you'll never see coming. You ever notice how animals in the wild sleep light? Ears twitching, noses sniffing, eyes half open. That's survival. They can't afford to sink into the kind of comfort you worship. But humans, oh, you've built palaces of distraction to keep yourself from noticing the faint smell of smoke. And when the fire finally reaches your door, you'll be too groggy to move. That's the beauty of comfort. It doesn't just numb you, it chains you. Invisible chains, padded so well you forget they're there. People tell themselves they're content. That's the word they use. Like it's noble. But it's not contentment, it's sedation. And sedation feels good, right until the moment it doesn't. The thing about awareness is it demands energy. It demands you stay sharp, stay uncomfortable, keep questioning every little thing you think you know. Comfort hates that. Comfort wants you docile, compliant, predictable. And the scariest part, you let it. You even defend it. You build your whole identity around it. The silent killer doesn't need a weapon. It doesn't need to threaten you. All it needs is to keep you lulled, distracted, convinced that everything is fine. You know what's worse? Once you're too deep in it, you can't even remember what awareness feels like. You can't remember the thrill of danger, the electricity of being fully alive. You've traded it all for a warm, heavy blanket you can't crawl out from under. And you think you're safe. You think you're in control. But comfort was in control the whole time. Fear, people treat it like it's this big, ugly monster hiding under the bed, something to avoid, to silence, to run from. But fear, oh, fear is the most honest thing you've got. It's raw, it's pure. It's the one voice in your head that doesn't sugarcoat a single word. And yet, you've been taught to push it away, to drown it in distractions, to pretend it's not whispering in the dark. Funny thing though, fear doesn't leave. It waits, it watches. It sharpens itself while you're busy pretending it's not there. The problem isn't fear itself. The problem is what you do with it. Most of you let it paralyze you. You freeze. You overthink. You wait for the perfect moment, the perfect sign, the perfect guarantee, and in doing so, you hand over your future to hesitation. Fear is like a shadow. It's always there. You can't get rid of it. You can't kill it. But you can learn to use it. The trouble is, you've been convinced fear is a signal to stop, when really it's a signal to move. Fear is proof you're standing at the edge of something real, something that matters. You don't get scared over things that don't matter. No one loses sleep over a paper cut. You only get that deep, stomach churning kind of fear when the stakes are high. That means there's something on the other side worth reaching for. But instead of moving toward it, you turn away, convincing yourself that safety is the smart choice. Safety is just another word for I gave up. Think about the times you've really grown. Were you comfortable? Were you calm? No, you were probably terrified. You didn't know what was going to happen next. Your pulse was racing. Your hands were shaking, and every part of you was screaming to step back. But you didn't. Or maybe you did. And that's why you're still wondering what would have happened if you hadn't. Fear is the door. You either open it or you stand outside listening to what could have been. The thing about fear is it doesn't just stop you. It rewrites the truth. It tells you stories that sound so reasonable, so logical, that you don't even question them. Knows not the right time. I'm not ready yet. What if it doesn't work? And here's the punchline. You're not afraid of the failure. You're afraid of the responsibility that comes with succeeding. Because once you succeed, you can't hide anymore. You can't go back to the comfort of being unseen. Most people treat fear like a red light. I treat it like a green one. If I'm afraid, it means I'm alive. It means I'm close to something real. Fear is the signal flare in the night pointing you toward the fire. You can either run from it or walk into it and see what's on the other side. And yeah, the fire might burn you, but standing in the dark forever, that'll kill you much slower and much quieter. The truth is, fear is a compass. It points directly toward the thing you need most. But compasses don't move your legs. You have to decide whether you'll take the step. And fear won't beg you. It'll just stay there, humming in your chest, whispering in your ear, reminding you every single day what you're avoiding. That whisper never fades. It just gets quieter. And one day, you mistake the quiet for peace. But that's not peace. It's just the sound of your potential rotting away while you pretend you don't hear it. People think the truth is this beautiful, shining thing, like sunlight breaking through the clouds. They imagine it's warm, comforting, liberating, but the real truth, it's jagged, it's heavy. It cuts when you try to hold it. And most of the time, when you finally see it, you wish you could unsee it, but you can't. That's the thing about truth. It sticks to you like blood on your hands. You've been living in a world made of little lies. The kind you tell yourself to make it through the day. Everything's fine. I'm in control. Nothing's going to change. Those lies are like soft pillows. You sink into them, and you stop noticing how they're smothering you. And then one day, the pillow's gone, and you're gasping for air because the truth hit you in the face. That's when most people panic. That's when they start running. See, the truth doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't wait for your permission. It doesn't care if you've built a life that depends on ignoring it. When it arrives, it tears through everything. Your plans, your illusions, your safety nets, and it doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door down and drags you out into the light, whether you like it or not. That's why people call it harsh or brutal. Not because it's cruel, but because it's honest. The dangerous thing about avoiding the truth is that it doesn't stop existing just because you look the other way. It just keeps growing in the dark, like mold, spreading into every corner of your life until it's too big to ignore. And by the time you finally face it, it's not a whisper anymore. It's a scream. A scream that drowns out everything else. That's when you realize the truth isn't here to destroy you. It's here to strip away everything that's been rotting you from the inside. The funny part is, most people think they want the truth. They say it all the time. Just be honest with me. But what they really mean is, tell me something that won't hurt. And when the truth finally does hurt, they get angry. They call it unfair. They blame the messenger. They pretend it's all just some mistake. Because accepting the truth means accepting that you were wrong. That you've been living in a way that doesn't work. That everything you thought was solid was just smoke and mirrors. The truth forces you to make a choice. Keep pretending or start rebuilding. And rebuilding isn't easy. It's messy, it's slow, it's uncomfortable. You have to tear down parts of yourself you've been protecting for years. You have to admit that the version of you who ignored the truth was weaker, smaller. And that's a hard thing to swallow. But the alternative, living in a padded little box, pretending you're free while the walls close in. The truth isn't your enemy. It's the only friend you've got that doesn't lie to your face. It's the one thing that'll grab you by the throat, and pull you out of the quicksand you've been sinking into. But it's not gentle. It's not going to pat you on the back and tell you you're special. It's going to show you exactly who you are. No filters, no masks, no excuses. And once you've seen that, you can't go back to pretending you're someone else. What most people don't realize is that the truth isn't here to save your comfort. It's here to save your life. And saving a life is never clean, never quiet. It's violent. It's messy. Sometimes it feels like it's killing you before you realize it's the only thing keeping you alive. And that's the part people forget. The truth doesn't always feel good, but it's the only thing that's real. You know what's funny about people. They think they're safe because the world looks calm. Streets are quiet, lights are on, routines still tick along like clockwork, and they mistake that for security. But calm isn't safety. It's just the silence before something snaps. You can feel it if you pay attention. It's in the way the air feels heavier, in the way people avoid each other's eyes, in the little glitches in the machine that everyone pretends not to notice. That's the kind of calm that makes your skin crawl, because you know deep down it's not going to last. People don't prepare for storms when the sky's still blue. They wait. They wait until the wind's tearing the roofs off and the water's at their knees. And then they start screaming for help. That's human nature, lazy, comfortable, and convinced they've got more time than they do. And then, when the disaster hits, they act surprised, like they weren't warned 1,000 times. The signs were there all along, but they didn't want to see them. It's easier to ignore the tube and ticking when you don't want to know the bomb's about to go off. But the thing is, life always warns you before it hits. Always. The problem is, it doesn't warn you in ways you like. It doesn't send a polite letter to your mailbox saying, "Dear you, trouble's on the way." No, it's more subtle. A strange feeling in your gut. A dream that lingers in your head. A news headline you brush off. A conversation that doesn't sit right. Those are the whispers before the scream. And if you can't hear the whispers, you'll never be ready for the scream. People love to tell themselves, "I'll deal with it when it comes." That's the anthem of the unprepared. They think they'll have the time, the strength, the clarity to act when the moment arrives. But here's the reality. When the moment comes, it's already too late to prepare. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your preparation. And if you never prepared, you fall hard. That's when people panic. That's when they make stupid choices. And in chaos, stupid choices get you buried. You can always tell who's been paying attention when something big unfolds. They move differently. While everyone else is stumbling around, shocked and scared, they're already 3 steps ahead, calm, precise, almost cold. That's not luck. That's awareness. They've been watching. They've been listening. They've been storing up energy and resources. Strange, isn't it? Everyone's glued to their screens, waiting for some message, some notification, something to make them feel alive. A little ding, a little buzz, and suddenly their heart skips, their mind races. Someone noticed me. Something important is here. But what if the message isn't on your phone? What if it isn't in your inbox or your feed or buried in some endless scroll? What if the message is louder than all of that, but you've been too distracted to hear it? The message is already here, not somewhere else. But people, they're obsessed with searching. They run in circles, chasing after clues like desperate detectives in a case with no killer. Always looking for something shiny, something dramatic, something that feels like lightning from the sky. They convince themselves the answer is hiding in the future, buried in a place they haven't reached yet. Tomorrow will bring it. The next book will explain it. The next voice will reveal it. But tomorrow keeps running away, and the truth sits right in front of them, staring, waiting, ignored. It's almost funny how blind people are to what's obvious. They beg for signs. They cry out for meaning. They scream for guidance. But when the message lands in their lap, they dismiss it. Too ordinary, too subtle, too close. They want fireworks. They want burning bushes. They want something so exaggerated that it smacks them across the face. But that's not how truth works. Truth rarely arrives with a parade. It whispers. It presses on your chest in the middle of the night. It slips into your thoughts when you're trying to fall asleep. It shows itself in the patterns of your mistakes, in the heaviness of your regrets, in the silence you keep running from. The message isn't missing. It's ignored because it doesn't look the way you expected. And here's the twisted part. People love searching more than finding. because as long as they're searching, they don't have to face the responsibility of knowing. They get to play the role of the wanderer, the seeker, the lost soul. It feels poetic. It feels safe, because once you admit the message is already here, you have no excuse. You can't hide behind the illusion of still looking. You either open it or you stay a coward. And most people, they'd rather keep wandering in the fog than step into the harsh light of truth. The message has always been here. It's in the pain that doesn't leave you. It's in the patterns that keep repeating, no matter how hard you try to ignore them. It's in the opportunities you've wasted, the voices you've silenced, the things you know you should do but keep putting off. That's the direct message, screaming at you without words. And every time you look away, every time you distract yourself, every time you convince yourself the real sign is still coming, you tighten the noose around your own neck, because the message doesn't vanish, it waits. And the longer you ignore it, the heavier it becomes. You keep expecting the message to come wrapped in perfection. You think it'll arrive when you're ready, when life feels stable, when you're calm enough to receive it. But the truth isn't polite. It doesn't wait for your schedule. It doesn't care about your timing. It shows up when you least want it, when you're fragile, when you're messy. That's the point. If you had control over it, you'd never open it. You'd wait forever, pretending it wasn't the right time. So the message crashes into your chaos, not because it's cruel, but because it knows it's the only way you'll stop pretending you don't hear it. The irony is that deep down, you already know what the message says. That's why you run from it. That's why you keep searching for a new version, a softer version, a more convenient version. You're not lost, you're hiding. You're not waiting, you're stalling. And the message, it doesn't change. It doesn't bend to fit your comfort. It stays the same, sharp and unrelenting, because that's what makes it real. And you can keep running, but every path you take circles back to the same truth, the same message you've been avoiding. The message isn't in some distant future. It isn't buried in a book you haven't read yet, or a voice you haven't heard yet, or a miracle that hasn't happened yet. It's already here, staring you in the face, louder than the noise you drown yourself in. You don't need another sign, another clue, another hint. You've already received it. The only question left is whether you'll keep pretending it isn't sitting right in front of you. Ignoring truth is more dangerous than facing it. People like to think running away keeps them safe, as if silence and denial can build walls strong enough to protect them from reality. They believe if they look the other way, the problem disappears, the truth dissolves, the weight lifts on its own. But truth doesn't vanish just because you close your eyes. It waits, it grows. It sharpens its claws in the dark. And when it finally comes back around, it doesn't knock politely. It crashes through the door 10 times heavier, 10 times louder, 10 times harder to survive. It's easier to pretend. That's what most people do. Pretend they don't see the cracks forming. Pretend they don't hear the warning signs. Pretend the pain inside will somehow fade if they ignore it long enough. They smile. They laugh. They distract themselves, thinking avoidance is strength. But it's not strength. It's surrender dressed as comfort. It's fear painted over with fake calm. The truth doesn't care about the mask. You can trick everyone else, but you can't trick the thing that's eating you from the inside. The real danger isn't the truth itself. It's the infection that grows when you bury it. Small lies become big ones. Small regrets become obsessions. Small fears turn into monsters. That's how it works. You ignore the seed, and it grows into a forest that blocks every path forward. And suddenly, the thing you could have faced when it was small is now towering over you, crushing you, suffocating you. All because you thought pretending not to see it would make it disappear. People underestimate how much energy denial takes. They think ignoring the truth is easier, but it's not. It eats you alive. Every fake smile, every forced laugh, every distraction costs something. You spend your energy holding back the flood, building fake dams, patching up leaks, convincing yourself you're fine. That's why people feel so exhausted without knowing why. It's not the world draining them. It's the truth they're hiding from, clawing inside, demanding to be faced. And the longer they push it down, the more it bleeds into everything, their relationships, their work, their peace, their mind. What's terrifying is how people normalize it. They call it moving on. They call it being strong. They call it letting go. But they're not moving. They're not strong. They're not letting go. They're rotting slowly while telling themselves it's growth. You see it everywhere. People pretending to be happy while their eyes tell a different story. People pretending they're in control while their lives fall apart in slow motion. People pretending the truth is too complicated to face when really it's just too painful to admit. And yet, no matter how much they bury it, the truth has a way of showing up. It creeps into the silence when the noise fades. It slips into their thoughts in the middle of the night. It poisons their dreams, their moods, their health. They start to snap at little things, break down at random moments, feel hollow even when everything looks fine on the outside. That's the truth leaking through the cracks, demanding to be seen. You can keep ignoring it, but it will keep finding ways to haunt you until you finally face it. The illusion is that facing the truth will break you. That's why people avoid it. They think it's too heavy, too sharp, too dangerous. But the reality is the opposite. It's the hiding that breaks you, the pretending, the running. When you face it, at least you bleed once. When you avoid it, you bleed every day, in small cuts that never stop. And eventually, those small cuts drain more life than a single wound ever could. The truth is relentless. It doesn't disappear. It doesn't soften. It doesn't compromise. And you can either choose to meet it on your feet or wait for it to crush you while you're on your knees. But make no mistake, ignoring it doesn't save you. It only makes the fall harder when it finally catches up. Signs don't repeat forever. They expire. People think life works like a broken record, that if they miss their chance, the universe will play it again and again until they finally get it right. They treat opportunities like reruns on television, believing they can always catch the next episode, always find another moment. We always wait for the signal to circle back around, but signs aren't toys. They don't spin endlessly in front of you. They appear. They burn bright for a moment, and then they fade. And when they're gone, they don't come back the same way. It's fascinating, really, how often people confuse patience with procrastination. They tell themselves they're waiting for the right time, for the perfect alignment, for everything to feel safe and easy. They don't realize that the very act of waiting is destroying the chance they've been given. The sign was already there. The opportunity was already present. But because it didn't fit into their schedule, because it didn't look like what they expected, They let it slip. And then they cry about missed chances, wondering why nothing ever works out for them. The truth, it did. They just weren't paying attention. Life doesn't scream forever. Sometimes it whispers once, and if you ignore it, the sound is gone. Think of all the people who met the right person at the wrong time, who had the right idea but never acted, who stood at the right door but never walked through. Do you think those doors stay open forever? No, they close, they lock, and sometimes they never open again. That's the cruelty of time. It doesn't bend for you. It doesn't pause just because you're indecisive. It moves forward. And if you stay behind, you stay behind. The dangerous illusion is thinking you'll always get another chance. That's the lie people comfort themselves with. Next time, tomorrow, when I'm ready. But next time never looks like the last time. Tomorrow never guarantees the same opportunity. And readiness? That's just fear with better branding. By the time most people realize the sign was their moment, it's already gone, and all they're left with is regret disguised as wisdom. They start saying things like, everything happens for a reason, not because they believe it, but because it makes the sting of their failure easier to swallow. Signs are not eternal. They're fragile, fleeting, like sparks in the dark. If you don't catch them, they vanish. And here's the twisted part. Sometimes they vanish for good. That's the part nobody wants to hear. People think there's always another spark waiting. But not every spark repeats. Some only come once. The love of your life you let walk away. The dream you abandoned because you were scared. The moment you could have spoken up but stayed silent. These things don't loop back like some carnival ride. Sometimes the snake sheds its skin once, and if you don't notice, you miss it forever. And when signs expire, they don't just disappear quietly. They haunt you. They live in your memory, replaying themselves in your head over and over. You'll lie awake at night, reliving the moment you should have taken, the word you should have spoken, the risk you should have embraced. You'll convince yourself you'll get another chance. But deep down, you'll know that one is gone. And that's the punishment of ignoring signs. They don't just vanish, they rot inside you, turning into the poison called what if. What people never realize is that life isn't obligated to keep reminding you. The universe doesn't care how many times you miss the hint It doesn't keep tapping you on the shoulder forever. At some point, it moves on. It takes the sign, the chance, the opening, and hands it to someone else who's brave enough to grab it. That's why you see others succeed while you stay stuck. It's not because they're luckier. It's because when the sign appeared, they didn't blink. They didn't hesitate. They opened it before it expired. The clock is always ticking, and every sign comes with an invisible deadline. Ignore it, and it slips away. Wait too long, and it rots. Pretend it'll circle back. And you'll be waiting forever for a moment that will never return. Signs don't repeat forever. They expire. And when they do, they leave you with nothing but silence where there used to be direction. Distractions keep you blind to the message. That's the trick no one notices. The quiet little con that steals more from you than any thief ever could. The world isn't designed to show you the truth. It's designed to bury it under noise. Every screen, every notification, every endless scroll, every shiny thing dangling in front of your eyes. It's not there to help you see. It's there to keep you from looking. Because if you ever slowed down enough, if you ever sat in the silence long enough, you might hear something you weren't supposed to. You might notice the message that's been whispering to you all along. And that's dangerous for them, not for you. People think distraction is harmless. Just a little entertainment, just a little escape, just a little break. But little by little, it's not so little anymore. You don't notice the hours slipping, the focus fading, the purpose dissolving. You think you're living, but really you're just drifting. Every second stolen by distraction is a second stolen from awareness. And awareness is where the message lives. The truth doesn't shout over the noise. It hides beneath it. And if you're always plugged in, always busy, always running, you'll never see it. The world is clever. It doesn't need to chain you. It doesn't need to cage you. It just needs to keep you entertained enough that you never notice the bars. You think you're free because you can choose your distractions. Which show to binge, which app to scroll, which voice to follow. But freedom isn't choosing your distractions. Freedom is choosing not to need them at all. And most people don't even realize how trapped they are. Because the cage is comfortable, padded with dopamine and empty laughs. The message waits in the silence, but silence scares people. They don't want to hear the voice inside. They don't want to face the thoughts crawling in the dark corners of their mind. So they drown it with noise. Music blasting, videos playing, conversations buzzing. Anything to keep from sitting alone with themselves. Because deep down, they know when the distractions fade, the truth surfaces. And the truth is heavier than the noise they've been hiding under.